So for those of you who don't know me, I am Michelle Taylor Willis. I own two companies here in Atlanta. One is a media company called Ganyo Enterprises, and I publish a luxury magazine, and I sell billboards throughout the Atlanta area, and I also have a radio show called According to Michelle, where we sell advertising on that show. Actually, on the whole station, mix106radio.com. Aside from that, I also have a company called MTW Enterprises, and it's a business empowerment firm. And what I really focus on doing through that firm is empowering people for a lifestyle of entrepreneurship. And, kind of in this wave of COVID, I've really been honing in my focus for female entrepreneurs and really focusing in on, you know, women who are mothers and wives or, and really have spent their lives focused on everybody else, building their husbands, building their spouses, their kids, and really not being able to build themselves. And so, there's so many people. I get calls and emails and DMs, about people who say, that's me. Um, you know, I've been, I've spent so much time focused on everybody else. And, I have a business idea, right? I have a business that I can't grow because I'm so focused on everything else for everyone else. And so I just feel like this is a perfect time to refocus and to, settle in on the fact that as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, as a whatever, you can focus on yourself first. And you should. It's kind of like when you're in an airplane and they say, when we go down, the masks are going to fall out of the sky. And who are you supposed to help first? You, right? You have to help yourself first because if you're not well, if you're not right, you can't do anything for anybody else. And that's just the way it is. And so, but we don't do that as women. We're so intent on growing so many other people, and we forget to grow ourselves. So, that's kind of my brand. I've always focused in on, myself, but at the same time, really, helping build other people, my family, my life. But I've done it simultaneously. I've been able to build others and build myself. I try not to ever forget about myself in the process. And so, personally, I am a wife. I am married. I've been married for 15 years. And listen, this is my second marriage. I started a marriage, right? So it didn't just happen, perfectly overnight. And I have four boys. And at the end of this, I'll show you guys pictures so that you can actually see. Um, but my kids are 21. He's a sophomore, junior at Georgia State here in Atlanta, where I live. And then I have a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And so all of my children are, although they aren't perfect, they are wonderful little human beings, and they are better humans than I could ever be. And the question that I get a lot from people is, you seem like, you're doing a pretty good job of raising boys, and I'm a girl, clearly. And, your kids are always mannerable, they listen, they're industrious, they do things, they do well in school. And then they see me running businesses and doing all these different things and still hanging out. If you guys follow me on socials, I am like, I'm all over the place. I love being out and engaging. But then they see me with the kids. So they see me at football games. They see me playing football. They see me, teaching and reading and doing all these things. And then they see me training and working out. And so, people always say, like, how are you able to do all of this stuff? And that's why I created the Moms All In brand, which is here. And as you guys can see, I'm like a branding fool. My team has taught me very well. Actually, Fancy, who is my fashion stylist, used to tell me all the time. Anytime she'd see me, she'd be like, "Why aren't you wearing your brand? You have to be in one of your brands all the time." And so my team has made a just branding monster out of me. So I'm branded everywhere, right? I mean, Michelle Taylor, even my mom's all in and brand is right there. So, which you should do too. If you are building a brand, you should be branding yourself all the time. But I created the Moms All In brand specifically for um, mothers and entrepreneurial females who are trying to, build families, build themselves, and build businesses at the same time. And really, that's what this is all about. You can do this simultaneously. You can build everybody else and you can build yourself at the same time. And there is a little bit of a strategic process to it. And I do it through a lifestyle of entrepreneurship. And so I empower everybody else to build a business that will allow you to live whatever lifestyle that you want to live. And then you can build everybody else while you're building yourself and building your business. And so, that's a little bit about what I do, why I do it, how I do it. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My mom owned her own businesses. My dad owned his own businesses. My grandparents on both sides own their own businesses. So entrepreneurship and business ownership is a thing for me and my family. I don't think I had a whole lot of choice because I kind of think some of that stuff is in DNA, so to speak. Um, so that's basically it. I don't want to talk too much. We're like call this the Ask Michelle session so that you can ask questions. And so that's what we're here to do. So if you have a question, I am opening up the field right now. Ask your question. You should be able to. There's a comment section on the right hand side, and you can literally ask me anything, and I will do my best to answer it for you. And if you want to engage further, you can. We can, and I'm here to help you. So I heard from a lot of you actually before this that were emailing me. Some of you I don't know at all, but you were just like, I'm excited to ask questions. So, what are your questions? And let's see here. I think there's a little bit of a delay. That's kind of a thing always, but I'm gonna just type here. Oh, come on. You guys have got to have questions. Okay, Teresa. Teresa wants to know about my radio show. Okay. Um, so the radio show is really kind of an extension of the magazine. My magazine is South Fulton Lifestyle Magazine, which is right here. This is actually the April issue of the magazine. And in the magazine, we really um, focus on the good news of South Fulton County. And I'm going to answer your question, Teresa. I'm getting there. I can't tell you about the radio show without the magazine. And so we focus on the good news of South Fulton County, the 8 cities in South Fulton County here in Atlanta, which I've renamed SOFU. And so I don't do anything that's not positive. I want to focus on all the great things happening in a community. And so the magazine is based on that. And so the radio show is the same idea, right? The radio show is to focus on, local influencers, movers, shakers, people doing incredible things that are in the city of Atlanta. We started out kind of focusing on SOFU, which you see back here. Um, Started out focusing kind of on that. And then, it's just kind of broadened. The radio show got so much, traction that, we have people from all over just saying, can I be on your show? So we've had some of everybody on the show, but it's an organic discussion when we're not in COVID season, when we're not affected by the Rona. What happens is It's me, I have a co host, and then we have people actually come into the studio. So people actually sit around with me and I ask them, what do you want to get out of this? What do you want my listeners to know about you? What do you want to sell? I ask all these questions and I give them three things that they want to make sure they get out of, this interaction. And then I basically steer the conversation and I ask questions that would lend to those responses. It's an organic discussion. There's never a topic, although recently, a lot of what we've been talking about has been COVID. But normally, when someone says, what are you talking about on the radio show today? I'm like, I don't know. We're just gonna have a show, and people are gonna jump on it, and it's gonna be great. And that's literally, how it goes. So I want it to feel like it's really just people sitting around a table talking. But at the end of the day, people will, support or buy or collaborate with whoever it is on the show. And that's the whole point. Um, I kind of believe in the Oprah effect. And so I want to be able to use my platforms to get other people exposure. So I want to make people famous. And that's really the goal. So I hope that answers your question. Oh, it's called the According to Michelle radio show. It's on Mix Double X, that's MIXX 106radio.com. And that's internet radio. So you literally can just go type in mix106radio.com. You get on the station. The station runs 24/7. My show is on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can listen that way. I get about 200, between 240 and 250,000 listeners on my show every week. And that's, over the internet. If you follow me on Facebook, Michelle Taylor Willis or Michelle T. Willis, you can actually see the show live. And I broadcast live, and then I also broadcast live on Instagram at Michelle Taylor Willis. And so you can actually see behind the scenes. You can see me operating the board. Since we're zooming guests in right now, you can see my screen and you can kind of see my guests almost like as if they were sitting in the studio with me. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of how it goes, and it's crazy because now since I don't have interns, I don't have a social media girl, nobody's operating my cameras. Um, my co-host is like I don't have a producer, so I'm doing like 5 different jobs while I'm trying to interview and entertain and engage. It's insane. So I'm like DJ. I literally know how to DJ. I can load my own music. I load my own commercials. Like I'm so proud of this. I feel like I've conquered the world. I load my own music. I load my own radio commercials. I know when to start and stop, and when I'm going to commercial and when I'm not. Um, and I load my own intro and outro, and I manage my comments, and it's insane. I screw up every week, literally. I mean, I ran 2 commercials twice back to back yesterday, so it sometimes is a little bit of a shit show, but it's fine. Numbers are still up and people are engaged, so there's that. I hope that answers your question, Teresa. All right, Dominique says, how do you balance it all without having mommy guilt? If I said I never had mommy guilt, I would be lying. Um, Sometimes I do feel a little guilty, but not often. Usually, my guilt is around um, am I doing, am I like when something happens, or when the kids, haven't done exactly what they need to do, that's when, that's when it kind of falls back on me when I think like, should I be reading to them more or should I be doing this or doing that? Um, but, that doesn't happen very often. And here's why. Um, because I really have tried to, set my kids up for success from the beginning. And I feel like a lot of what they see in me and what they see in my husband, they're kind of executing on their own. And I really do have this belief, like if I'm not good, like if I literally am not good, it's they're gonna be good. And I have to be happy. I have to be happy. I have to feel fulfilled. I have to feel all of this joy. It doesn't mean I'm, on cloud 10, every single minute of the day. It doesn't mean everything is perfect for me. It means though that there has to be a joy that is consistently within me. I have to be joyful consistently. Um, and then I can, pour that joy back out into them. And it's kind of like this cup runneth over thing. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine about a year ago, and I was saying, sometimes, I was like, maybe I'm doing too much, and because I was like, my cup is running over. And she said, yeah, but Michelle, your cup is running over like into your kids. She said it could be, I know it's running over into the organizations you serve and, all of these things, but she said, your kids are just getting full of all of the stuff you're doing. And she was like, I see it. We can see it. And so it really kind of made me think. I was like, man, I like that. I think I actually had a blog post around about that a year ago. That never got published, but well, I did write about it. Um, but I just feel like the more I can be, the more my kids are just gonna, see that and absorb it and just run with it. And I do see that. So I really don't have a lot of guilt, but I think again it's because I see them so strong. They're just so strong, and the things that they do are so noteworthy. And so, um, but again, having said that doesn't mean there aren't times when I'm like, I could do more. Or I really try to focus on the fundamentals. And I actually I did not schedule this for this reason, but I literally last night, I have an ebook that just dropped called, I don't even know the name of it. Raising Significance. I changed the title like 30 times. Raising Significance. And it's a guide to raising independent, well rounded, and confident kids. And it's actually, it's on Amazon right now. I didn't even know it was there last night. I just happened to go check it. I was like, oh my gosh, my book is out. Um, but those fundamentals, I think because I raised according to these fundamentals in this book, have helped me not feel bad, So I know that I'm focusing on the things that are making them better. And whenever I see little gaps, I just, fill in. I'll give you an example. My 8-year-old last year started having some challenges in school. Um, and over like the course of a couple months, I was just kind of watching, and I was like, he was bringing home, now 4 kids. Nobody has ever in their life in my house brought home anything less than like a B minus, right? Like it's not tolerated. Like everybody's supposed to be getting straight A's. Like you shoot for the moon and you end up among the stars kind of thing. So I'm watching this 8-year old come in with like 50s and 60s and so I have this thing when the kids bring home work and homework and they get it wrong, I make them go back and they have to fix the answers and then turn it back in. And they always say, like, why don't I turn back in? She's not going to fix my grade. I'm like, I don't care if she's fixing your grade. You're going to know the concept. The teacher's going to see your effort. If she gives you regrades it and gives you a grade, fine. If not, these are just valuable principles you're learning. So I find that I was doing this all the time. I'm like, fix this, fix this, fix this. And then I was thinking, Dominique, okay, where am I missing? Because if my kids are doing this not in line, that means like, okay. And so that's when a time when my guilt might pop in. And I was like, okay, he's 8. And my other 3 kids were just so, I mean, like they're just so on top. Don't really have to do as much because they were just so, everything was just so embedded in them. But I was like, I need to be doing, I need to make sure I'm doing more of his homework with him. Instead of saying, go do your homework, I'm like, I need to be more present, like present, not just in the same room while he's doing his homework, but doing his homework and reading more to him and, listening to him read more to me. I just need to, and so I started doing that. And as I started doing that, then I realized, you know, it's grades, started, he's ringing now 80s, 90s, and hundreds. Because what I realized is that I was getting concerned at first. Is he not grasping the concept? Does he not understand? Does he need tutoring? And when he would redo the work, he'd redo it everything right. So he just wasn't paying attention. He wasn't focused. And those are all challenges that I have. I have ADD. I'm all over the place. I'm not always focused. I'm not always, on top of what I should be on top of. I'm not. And I saw that in him, and I was like, oh no, that is not one of my traits. That's not a trait that's going to end up, you know, pouring out of him. And so I just went back and started from the beginning and started sitting with him, doing his homework, watching him do it, emailing the teacher. I just started being like micromanage mom for a minute. And now, he's back on track. So, yeah, I mean, I hope that answers your question. And if you need me to dive deeper, or, then I certainly can. But um, that's kind of how I managed through that. But I don't feel guilty really. Like I go, I travel, I hang out with my friends. I do most of the things I want to do. I do. I just do them. And some of that includes the kids, and some of it doesn't. But you know, great stuff. Thank you. You are more than welcome. Yeah, the lighting. My son, my 11-year-old, sets up the lighting for when I do my things. He a self-dubbed lighting genius, so he lights up all my stuff. Um, any other questions? What other questions do we have? And I tell you, while I wait for my next question, I'm going to show you. I think I'm kind of nervous. I'm nervous about showing y'all something, and like the sound's going to stop working. But I did want to show you a picture. And what I was going to do, I'm not going to do. I'm just going to keep it very simple and share my screen here with you. Oh, I got another question. What keeps me motivated? All right. That's a great question. And someone asked me that within the last week. Um, what keeps me motivated? So, what keeps me motivated really is knowing that I'm leaving legacy. I am very, very sure, very comfortable, very confident knowing what my purpose on this earth is, and knowing that I am really dialed in to my passion. I know that, and I know what I'm playing for. And I know that I'm not supposed to come, live, raise kids, do whatever, hope for the best. Um, I know what my legacy looks like. I know what I'm supposed to do, and that's what keeps me motivated. Most of my legacy is surrounded, you know, by my kids, and leaving great stuff for them. But the other piece of my legacy is just about the world and the earth, and leaving it better when I'm gone than when I got here. And that's what keeps me motivated, because I'm playing for something so bigger, so much bigger than just, you know, Michelle Taylor Willis, right? I'm playing for more than Mom's All In. And so, that's how I can keep going when I feel like, I screwed up. And I feel like, I mean, I screw up at least like three to five times a day. I screw something up. I just, it's a thing for me. I try to screw up less on certain days than others, but I actually, yeah, I screw up a lot. So, and I don't believe in like this perfection thing. I strive to be, as good as I can be. But I don't, that's why I can tell you guys, I screw up all the time. I mess stuff up. And look at me, I'm still fine. It was a joke. I know you guys are laughing at me. I hate not being able to see somebody else. Matter of fact, one of the reasons I got this platform because we can actually pull people in and I can show people your face. So if you have a question and you want me to actually pull you into the presentation, I can absolutely do that. So Dana, I hope that answers your question. Let me know if it does, and if it doesn't, I can dive deeper. Oh yeah, nice, thanks. Yay, 2 thumbs up for Michelle. Okay, what advice would you give someone writing a book? I'm in the outline stage and I have so many questions about the best way to become published. Okay, the book that I just launched, and again, and I've got actually, I think I have a cover picture of it, so I'll show you. Dominique, let me tell you something. The book that I just published on Amazon, um, I've been for years like, oh, I'm gonna publish this. I'm gonna publish a book. I'm gonna do this, blah blah blah. And something else you guys can know about me, I'm lazy. I know it doesn't. I don't look like I'm lazy, but I am. I want to do the fastest thing, quickest way, and just be done with it. And if it looks like it's too much work, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Which is a blessing and a curse. Um, and so I started this book about maybe 6 months ago. And then I got a wild hair and I sat one night about 6 months ago and I wrote like 85% of the book. And then I stopped because I was, to your question, okay, I don't know. I don't know how to publish it. You know, should I self-publish it? Do I have to send it off to, and do I want to do it Amazon and not make the most royalties? And, I just like talked to myself all around this book. And then COVID hit. And, we're 5 weeks, we were 5 weeks into COVID. And I'm sitting here, preaching this whole, you don't come out, on the other side of this better than going in. And you haven't done this. And, like, when else is there going to be time to do it? Like, literally, these are all the things I'm preaching to my followers, and, my clients. And I kept in the back of my head, I was like, you got a book that's like two. I actually have two, and they're not even books. I call them more manuals. Two of them sitting on the computer. And so I literally just sat down one night. I finished the book and I sent it off to my editor. And I have editors because, the magazine. So I have writers and editors and all kinds of people at my disposal pretty much. And so I sent it to her and I was intent. Again, Dana says, right, what makes you motivated? I know what I'm playing for. And this book is part of what I'm playing for. Empowerment, making people better so they can make other people better. And parenting falls right into that, right? If we can be better parents, we train our kids to be better people. They go and train people to be better people. And that's it, empowering people to empower people. I know that. So why isn't this book done? So I finished it, literally sent it off, got it edited, and then I was like, whatever. I just went to Amazon and sat there literally. It's so easy. I'm like, why did I do this 6 months ago? And then I just uploaded it and was frustrated because some stuff didn't work and this did, and I just kept figuring it out until it was done. All right. So my answer, that's the long answer. The short answer, Dominique, is just do it. The book is live right now, and I go and I look at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to do a second edition immediately because this isn't in there and this isn't in there. But guess what? It is done, and I just found out last night I'm already having downloads. People are already downloading the book, and they have it. And what's crazy is I can go and here's motivation for you, Dominique. When you go into, Teresa says she has to go. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming on. Sorry about the challenges in the beginning, but let me know how I can help you, Teresa. Dominique, here's some motivation. When I go into Amazon.com and I type in Michelle Taylor Willis, my book comes up, and I'm like, that's me. Just do it. Like we need to, like, we got to stop thinking so much about other people, about what can't happen, about what will happen, about what might happen. Like none of that crap matters. What matters is you are supposed to be empowering somebody to empower somebody else. And your book is probably going to do that. So every single day that you sit and that book isn't published, somebody else is suffering. And that's a question I ask people a lot when you're talking about, figuring out what your purpose is, figuring out what your passion is, figuring out why you are here. Understand that once you realize what your purpose and passion is, what they are, Every day that you're not doing something with it, every single day, somebody's suffering. So the question I have for people is, who's not fulfilling their purpose because you're not fulfilling yours? Dominique, you've been working on this book and you're in the outline stage. How long have you been in the outline stage? Screw the outline. Write the book. Just just go and just get it out. You got to get it out of your head and then you can come back. And I tell now that I've done it, Amazon is a great way. I mean, it's an ebook. Um, the paperback should be done here in, well, actually, the paperback is done. I'm waiting for a version of it so I can look at it myself and make sure I put eyes on it and make sure it's a good paperback version. I probably could get better royalties somewhere else, but I just needed to get it done. And sometimes you just gotta get her done and stop thinking so much about it, right? Um, that's my advice. As somebody who's done it, just write it, get it out, figure it out, send it to an editor. If you need somebody, I have editors. I got an editor right next door to me. Literally, my next door neighbor is an editor. I didn't even know. She's like, "Yeah, I'm a freelance editor." I'm like, "Really?" Again, COVID. Thank you, COVID. I'm like, "How much do you charge?" Like put some competition in this thing, right? Um, and ask for help, man. Ask for help and just do it. So I hope that answers your question, Dominique. You want to let me know if it does, and if it does, then we're good. Are there any other questions? We got people jumping on and jumping off. Any other questions I can answer for you guys? Okay, so now what I will do. Awesome, thank you for that advice. Okay, I hope it helps. And I think Dominique is going to be one of the people in our cohort that we've got coming up. I'm doing a cohort for 6 to 8 women to take them from concept idea all the way to business plan execution for new businesses or for businesses that already exist and people just want to um, you know people want to reset, kind of refocus. And Dominique, I believe, is signed up for that. And so maybe that's something that we can work on as we kind of go through this planning process, Dominique. But just start writing the freaking book. We want to hear what you have to say. Okay. um Okay, I was just going to show you guys a really quick picture of my family so that you can see that I do have family and kids, and people don't believe me always. So I'm going to turn screen share on. I hope this works. I'm like, literally. Uh, okay, hold on. Let's see. This might not work. Only because um, this has not been a great technology day for me. So, wait, Simone says, do you ever find yourself in a place where you are stuck? What do you do to get out? Yes, I do. Um, actually, this writing of this book was a time that I actually found myself to be stuck. Again, I think this kind of goes back to the motivation question that Dana asked me. I get out of being stuck by reminding myself of what I'm playing for. And people will give you generic answers. They're like, oh, I think about my kids and how much they love me and how much I love them. And then I get back at it. Okay, that sounds great. But at the end of the day, like when you're stuck and when you really feel like, you are not in a position where like you can't move forward. I mean, it's like being in the mud, right? It's like being in the mud and you're like, okay, um, I'm not exactly sure where to go from here. So the first thing is always, you've got to know your why. You got to know your why. You got to know what you're playing for because that's your accountability, Simone. Your accountability is, it's kind of like the vision and the mission in a business, right? In business planning, the first thing I have, my clients do is work on vision and mission. And the reason I do that is because whenever you get stuck somewhere in the business and you just don't know how to pivot or what to do next or where to go, you go back to that vision and mission, because that vision and mission is going to remind you of why you started this business and what the end game is. So, Simone, if you can think, if you know what your why is, why you're here, why you're playing for what you're playing for, if you know what that is, then I would encourage you, to write that down and put it places so that you can remind yourself of the bigger picture. So that when you get stuck, you're not necessarily focused as much on the outcome as you are the process, right? I just finished reading the book Atomic Habits, which was a great read. If you haven't read Atomic Habits by James Clear, you need to read it. And I really feel like this guy needs to be giving me something on the back end on this, because I posted this like twice, and like people like, I just bought it. It's in my cart. I'm like, he owes me money. James, if you ever get around watching this, because you and me play around 3 o'clock. Anyway, but one of the things he talks about really is the process, right? Habits get thrown away and we get stuck because we're focused on the immediate outcome as opposed to the long term why and the process. So if you can really, focus on the process, Simone, and your why, it helps you to be able to kind of get out of the mud. Um, I get stuck more often than people would really think. Again, I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were on earlier, but I'm lazy. I'm pretty lazy. I like finding the most efficient way to do something immediately. And if I don't have that, then I just don't want to do it. I literally will give up and be like, I'm just not doing it. And there's been times when I give up on myself. I mean, you work so hard, and sometimes you just don't see the benefit of what you're doing, right? You don't see the outcome. And that again, Simone, is why it's so important to know the why. What's the long term gain? What are you planning for long term? If you can focus in on that, then that's how you get out of the mire. That's how you get out of being stuck. And you gotta. It's a brain training thing. It is a brain training thing. You gotta train your mind to always come back to the why, always come back to the purpose, always come back to the passion, come to the process, come back to the process. The day that, like the day to day non wins don't matter. Being stuck isn't as big a thing. You just go back to the process and the why and all that. Does that make sense, Simone? If it doesn't, let me know, and we can do a 15-minute call after this or another day, and I'm happy to kind of dive deep in it with you. But that's how I get out of it. But it does happen. Is that good stuff? Yay! I'm hashtag winning after hashtag losing for the first 20 minutes because this thing didn't work. Okay. Kalitha says, hi, Michelle, both magazine, radio show family. How have you optimized focus? Oh my gosh, I'm so unfocused. I'm like the most unfocused person ever. It's crazy. The thing about me, Kalitha, is I am a walking anomaly. And by that, I mean I'm organized and completely disorganized. Um, I hate details and I love the details. Um, I'm clean and I'm nice nasty. It's like I'm literally, I'm a girl's girl and I love to be like, oh, I want to look so pretty. And then I like play flag football. I'm looking for a flag football league right now. We can't play because, you know, the Rona. Um, so literally I'm a walking like all over the place person. And so I'm laser focused until I'm not. I'm laser focused until I'm not. And what I mean by that is when I'm on it, I'm on it. My first job out of college, I worked for Ferguson Enterprises, which was a plumbing wholesaler, the largest one in the nation actually. And I was one of the only females, and like the only black female in There might have been one other black female. I think literally, I think at the time I was hired, I was the only black female working in the whole country, and they had plumbing warehouses, several in one city, right? And my boss, who was Jimmy, I can't remember his last name, Jimmy, and he would tell me, I was in sales, and he would say, Michelle, boy, when you are on, you are on, but when you're off. And that would be the thing. Like when I'm focused, it's like I'm unstoppable. Just like this book, right? That Dominique just asked me about. When I decided I was gonna do this book, it was like, and I mean, I stayed up. I mean, the last 3 or 4 nights because that's when I hammered it out. Literally, I just did this book. It just launched last night. I just finished it Monday or Sunday night, but I stayed up all night. I was figuring out the formatting. I couldn't put it down, and that's how I get, Kalitha. When I decide, like when my brain says it's on, it's time to go, then I just go and I go nonstop. Again, the way that I think I've done that is I think it's kind of how I'm built, but I've trained myself for that. And back to some question and Dana's question, and Dominique, like I know what my legacy looks like. I know what I'm planning for. I know why I'm here. I know my purpose. I know all of that. I know my why. And so I can regain focus by understanding the bigger piece to all of this. And also, I have people around me who are much better at focusing than me. My husband is a detail, like focus fanatic. He's like one thing at a time, and he compartmentalizes, right? Um, I have people who own multi-million dollar enterprises, gazillion dollar companies, who have taught me keep the main thing, right? You can't do everything all at once. My whole thing is I can do everything. I can do everything. You can do everything, but you can't do it all at once. And so I'm very specific and focused on how I approach everything. If I say it's time to write this book, everything else is kind of off to the side until this book is done. I can't be writing the book and, all these other things, right? So that, my uncle used to say that. My uncle said, keep the main thing the main thing. So when I'm on one thing and it's got to get done, I get that, I push that aside. I get this, I push that aside. That's kind of how I stay focused. And the other thing is, um, I don't bite off anymore more than I could chew. I used to bite off so much. People be like, Michelle, what the hell are you doing? You're all over the place. People still say that, but I think it makes more sense now. 10 years ago, I was all over the place, and it was just like, what the hell? She's making cupcakes. She's selling houses. She's, like, what is she doing, right? She's, managing property. She's in real estate, like, you know, and it was just crazy. But now I'm all over the place, but in a very streamlined passion. It makes sense, right? I own a media company, so it makes sense that I'd have a magazine and a radio show and on my billboards, right? Um, and so I'm an entrepreneur, so it makes sense that I would have this, company that focus on building entrepreneurs. I'm a wife and a mother. It makes sense that's who I would be talking to. So everything is kind of streamlined. But when I'm training people, Kalitha, when I talk about focus, 3 things maximum, and you get those 3 things done every day, you're good. Think about what happens when you wake up in the morning or you go to bed at night and you write down all these things you're going to do tomorrow. How many of those things do you get done? Because it's hard to focus. But if you put 3 things on a list down, just 3, that you say, I've got to get done today or I have to get done tomorrow, then chances are you'll be able to you'll knock off those 3 things and get them done and be like, dang, what else I got to do? And you'll start adding shit to the list. Like, oh, I'm doing this, check it out. Oh, I'm doing this, check it out. Because you're focused on just 1, 2, or 3 things. So that's in life, right? What is, what are the 3 things? New Year's resolutions. People have New Year's resolutions. I hate New Year's resolutions. They're stupid. You know why? Because people try to have 10 of them or 15 or 20. And you know what happens come February 15th? Nothing. New Year's resolutions, pick three. One, two, three. That's it. And then you have, you knock those off in the first 3 months of the year. Then you add two, but before you know it, your whole year has been amazing. So I hope that answers your question, Kalitha. Hold on, you said who has been your primary motivational driving force, internal or external? That's a good one. Wait, lost connection. Are you guys still there? Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Can you guys see me now? Am I still frozen? Can you guys see me? Are you there? Refresh. Okay, we good? Are we good now? Okay. So Kalitha, okay, so primary motivation. My primary motivation, I think, was my mom. My mom married my dad and divorced him when I was like 3. And I always saw her being, I always saw her working. She was like always working. And she was always working for us. And she always she used to take me everywhere. And so I was meeting, I remember mayors and governors and, business owners. I mean, my mom was introducing me, to like the most influential people at very young ages. I have pictures of me with like the first black guy to ever own a McDonald's in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where I'm from. In fact, I had my 5th birthday party at his restaurant at McDonald's, which my mom would like. We never were allowed to eat McDonald's, but she let us go there because black guy that owned it. My mom's like all about black business ownership, right? Um, so she exposed me to all this stuff, and I saw her working 2, 3 jobs. I mean, she would work, from like 8 to 5 at the National Urban League, and she'd come home and sit on a customer service call desk from 5 to 8, right? And then she'd work on her own business from like 8 to 12. I remember there were times when my grandmother died, and my grandmother got in a car accident, and she was very ill. She was in the hospital for 6 months, and we were in Jacksonville. My mom was in Mobile, Alabama. I haven't told this story ever, I don't think. And Mobile was 6 hours, I think, from Jacksonville. My mom would work, and this is her single woman with 3 girls in the house. She would work from Monday to Friday, like 2 jobs. She'd make sure we had our homework done, right? We'd come home. I was in gymnastics at the time. So my mom would come, she'd leave her job at the Urban League at like 3 o'clock, come pick me up from school, take me to gymnastics to the gym. She would go pick up my sisters, I think, go back to work, come home, cook dinner, do all that stuff, make sure they were good, come back, pick me up from gymnastics at 9 o'clock, come back home, work on her consulting company, and get up every morning and do that at the same time. And 2 of those days in the week, she would work from like midnight to 4 o'clock in a call center. And every Friday night for like 6 months, she would come home. She'd leave me at the house. Sometimes she'd have somebody come stay, but at this time, I think I was like 16. And we'd stay home from Friday night until Sunday. My mom would drive to Mobile to go be with her mom in the hospital, and then she'd come back home on Sunday night, and she would get up and go to work on Monday morning, which is crazy. So that's my motivation. I mean, I've had tons of other people in my life that have instilled all kinds of great things in me, but my mom, there's nobody, better than her. So anyway, I hope that answers your question, Kalitha. And guys, we are at an hour and 7 minutes now, and so I'm gonna have to shut this thing down. I was gonna try to show you a video, but I'm just not even gonna do any of that because we just had some challenges earlier, and I don't want to screw around with it. But I hope that answers your question, Kalitha. And I really appreciate you guys getting on today. If you can go to my website, michelletaylorwillis.com. If you want to schedule a free consult call, you can do that. I'd love for you to download the book. It's on Amazon. If you just type Michelle Taylor Willis and search, it comes up, Raising Significance. And if you want to engage with me, if you want to join my cohort, I have a couple spots left and work on a business idea or revamp your idea, then you can do that from my website too. Just go to the contact page, fill out the application, and we'll get it. And so that's it. Yes, I see being exposed to success very early in life. I was exposed very early. My mom had us around the best people all the time, but mainly, she was it. All right, so thank you guys. Yes, you are welcome. And I will do this again, I think. And hopefully we'll have great things happening at that point. But in the meantime, let me know how I can help you, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya.